year is 1997. Thanksgiving. You're eating there with your family. You taste that turkey, those mashed potatoes. Then all of a sudden you go to pour that gravy on it, and all of a sudden it's green and looks like a slime ball. Well, could it possibly be? Yes, it is. It's Flubber, folks. That's right. Today, right here on Rewind, we're talking Flubber. I have the biggest Robin Williams fan with me on this one. So without further ado, let's get to it right here on Rewind.
I love you with all my heart, with every molecule, with every atom. I love you on a subatomic level.
This is going to be the very last time I try to marry you.
I'd rather die than disappoint you.
On the most important day of his life, Philip Brainerd, the world's most absent-minded professor, made a few little mistakes.
Oops. Wow, what a bang.
And one gigantic flub.
Flubber.
Flubber? Sounds like baby shampoo.
It's a metastable compound. If you apply a small amount of energy, it liberates an enormous quantity of energy.
This definitely has applications in the field of sports.
When I exit this window, the flubber will send me right back up unharmed.
Are you nuts?
Ta-ta, my love. Ouch.
Walt Disney Pictures presents
Oh.
a classic story
Sorry, first-time flyer.
of boy meets goo.
Get him!
This Thanksgiving, discover the stuff that dreams are made of.
Ow!
Robin Williams,
Hit the deck! It's Flubber!
Flubber.
Oh, boy.
As you guys could tell, we're talking Flubber, and today I'm with Mr. Nichols,
What's going on, guys?
one of the biggest Robin Williams fans I know.
Biggest fan. It makes me feel good that you said that because I wish Robin Williams knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
man, we're talking Flubber today.
We're talking the 1997 remake of The Absent-Minded Professor known as Flubber. So, like, when we first start off the movie, obviously we get the little Disney with the little castle, and then from there we get the whole science, chemistry stuff in there. And I like the way they do the graphics in there. That's fantastic. It kind of gives you a feel for the movie.
Yeah.
And what you guys don't know is Brainerd, or Bernard, because it's spelled Brainerd, so it's Brain Nerd, is trying to develop a way of doing a brand new energy to try and save his school. So he ends up, in the course of everything, making this green little guy known as Flubber.
Well, it was rubber. It was elastic.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
stretchy. It was bouncy.
It's everything. It's flying rubber, as he called it. Flying rubber.
Yep.
So that's Flubber. So, based off of the Fred McMurray movie called The Absent-Minded Professor, they even pay homage to that several times in this movie. So we'll start off with, like I said, he's gearing up for a big day in his own personal life. So this comes to the question, my first question to you, man. What's more important, your work or your love life? I mean, seriously.
I mean, it's depending on who you're asking, man.
Yeah,
Some people just don't want to get married.
exactly, exactly.
And
Or
sometimes
some
they're being forced. You never know, but
or sometimes they are and just don't want to be. Mhm.
exactly. Hey, you speaking for yourself or what?
No, no, I'm
Okay.
not.
I
I'm
hope your
not.
wife isn't watching this because
No,
no, but um it's hard to say because obviously work
yeah,
you can't be married and not have a job. You have to have a job to be married basically. So I mean I would say obviously get that big day out of the way
yeah.
and then get back to work. You don't have to always be 100% on
It's
work.
it's not just like it's work though. It's like a passion project of his. He's
Yeah,
trying to it's his every waking moment. I mean, even
yeah.
look at his house. It looks like we're in the Zelensky house from Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
I was gonna say that honestly.
Yeah,
I was gonna
yeah,
say that kind of like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
yes, exactly. You gotta get that feeling because it's all robotic. It's all animatronic.
Yeah.
I especially like when he does the alarm clock and the trash can goes to the curb itself. So
Yeah,
it's
like
like
I got it, making the pancakes.
yes,
Automatically thought, Pee-wee's Playhouse.
uh huh,
But yeah,
yeah. Yeah, the Zelensky house from Honey I Shrunk the Kids, where it feeds the dog the food and everything. So yeah, it it felt that way. It kind of feels like a guy who's wrapped up in his work, a guy who's how can I say it, kind of absent minded.
well, I mean,
Yes,
that's
it
kind of where
is.
it's going off. But
It is. Hmm.
I wanted to bring something up though because
Sure.
a lot of people are hating on this movie, and because it doesn't match up to that movie.
Yeah.
Absent Minded Professor,
Hmm.
but it is actually written by the same person.
Yeah. Hmm.
And a lot of people don't realize that it's actually written by Samuel Taylor,
Yeah.
and it's written by that guy. And honestly, this movie was actually his last movie that he
Nice.
he wrote for. So it's kind of cool. He started out. I'm not gonna say he started out with that absent minded, but that's what kind of made him big.
Yeah.
And then he finishes off with Flubber.
Well, and you can tell that he had some say into it because of obviously the flying car, the
Yeah,
basketball game, two of the biggest scenes ever in The Absent-Minded Professor.
yeah. There's a
So
lot of callbacks to
yeah,
that movie.
which like if you ever see that on TV, it's always the writer that does that. It's always the writers who write that stuff in there. Hey, let's call back because this actor was with this person in this show, so let's just call back and have them have that moment where they look at each other and be like, "Hey, don't I know you?" But it's actually two different characters.
Yeah,
Yeah, type of thing. So, I mean, is it me or is Christopher McDonald always play that snarky asshole?
Shooter
Yes,
McGavin.
exactly. He's so good at that role.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, Will, I believe his name was Wilson in that movie.
Yes, yeah.
Chris McDonald, he played Shooter McGavin.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I just felt like Robin Williams and Chris blended together, man. They
Oh
they
yeah,
they worked so well together on this movie. They
they're
worked off of
such.
each other.
It was kind of like him and Sandler too. They worked well together.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Just
that's
saying
it.
a lot about McDonald as well.
Yes, it does. It says a lot about him and how he's very good at being the straight man, being very good at
Yeah,
that jerk of a character. Let's put it that way. And throughout the course of this movie, we find out that the school's not doing well. And so we see Will Wheaton's character's in here. He's on the basketball team. His dad's a huge uh contributor to the school. And with that huge contribution, his son always gets straight A's because of that contribution. So he does, yeah, the money talks.
yeah.
He gets an F in science, and so he's after Brainerd or Dr.
Bernard.
Brannard. Yeah,
Bernard.
Brannard. Yeah. It's actually spelled that way. Look it up, people. It's Brainerd. When he holds up the for sale sign for the car, it's spelled that way. So I'm like, that's funny. But and so they go. So he has his goons go over to try and talk some sense into him. As they go over, the Flubber experiment actually starts coming into play. Starts actually becoming what we know Flubber is. He sprays it on a golf ball. It bounces out, hits one of the guys in the head. He does a bowling ball, hits
Can
the other guy in the head. Yeah,
Can
go.
I just say something? I just
Yeah.
think that, him being, into this experiment so well, like, how dumb can you be to cover a bowling ball
Yeah.
and a golf ball in Flubber when you know it bounces around a whole bunch of glass? Do it outside. Don't do
Yeah.
it in your
Yeah.
laboratory, But you were also talking about, his goons or whatever.
Yeah.
Reminded me a lot about Home Alone.
It did.
You
It
know
did.
how they're breaking in and they get hit in the head, and
Like the first one I did here was House Guest. It reminded me of a lot of those guys too. So those goofy goons that don't do anything that well, but are just there for, hey, we have this little thing that's happening in the movie. You guys are going to be the ones who set it off.
yeah,
Pretty
basically.
much. Yeah. So they do that. They're scared. He puts it in a spray bottle, sprays it out the window accidentally, and it as they jump out of the way after they see the bowling ball jump, they go flying, and then he puts it into his car. We get that scene. How awesome was it that they had that little running gag with the little boy?
Oh, I was gonna bring that up, man.
Yeah.
We are like on top of each other. Yeah, pause. I said on top of each other. No, but every time that there's nothing out your window, should we go scene by scene, or are we gonna just
Sure.
the whole day?
Sure. Let's go scene by scene.
So this kid's terrified of what's outside of his window. He thinks that something's outside his window. He's on the second story of his house, and the dad goes, "There's nothing out there." Kind of like monsters in your closet. He goes, "There's nothing out there." He opens the window. See, there's nothing there, and then the golf ball comes shooting through the window. Is it a golf ball or a bowling ball? I think it's a golf ball.
Was it the golf ball or was it the actual flubber?
Oh yeah, I think it was the flubber that came through the window.
It was the flubber, yeah.
And it's just a little gag throughout the whole entire movie of his dad telling him, "Oh, you'll be fine. Not looking out the window. Nothing will happen to you." And every time he looks out the window, something happens to him. The next one is the goons, I believe,
yes.
right?
Yes, when they bounce far enough that the kid sees him throughout the window. He's holding like a little laser gun toy, and he like shoots out the window at him.
Yeah.
And then the next one I think is the car scene when he crashes into the tree. He goes,
"Hi,
first time flying," and then just goes off, and the kid's like screaming in the house. Ah!
Yeah. And then the last one is in the air again, but out of an airplane, which is ridiculous. It's just, I just love that they ran it through the entire movie.
Yeah. And that's a good writer and a good director. He'd be like, "This is hilarious. Let's continue with this." And it's not overplayed.
A fun fact about that kid is he actually played Robin Williams in What Dreams May Come.
Oh, nice. Kid.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he played Robin Williams as a kid in that movie.
Oh, a little bit of more trivia there for you guys. So
yep.
I did not know that. I'm actually learning something here.
There you go. Well, that's what happens when you have a Robin Williams fan on it.
Exactly. But so he's flying around, and then he's sitting on top of the clouds, and he's enjoying the scene, and then all of a sudden, he has his hands out here, then all of a sudden he goes, so peaceful. He shuts off the car.
Falls out guy.
Yeah. And then as soon as it gets that close to the ground, it's not starting each time, but it starts right when he gets that close. As he hits it, it's like, yeah. Anyone who's ever had that type of a beater of a car or an older car like that knows you just hit in that right spot and it starts up automatically. So
yeah. One thing you forgot to bring up is Weibo, his little
assistant,
personal assistant, flies around the house with him, follows him, records him. I mean, how awesome was that back in the 90s? We all wanted that. Right? But fun fact is that's actually voiced by Jodie Benson, which is Little Mermaid.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's another fun fact right there, is that it was, Little Mermaid as his personal assistant.
Nice.
But yeah, it's cool that, Weibo, we all wanted one of those back in the day.
Exactly.
And now we have one, basically. It's our phone, which is crazy.
Well, and think about it. It just plugs into an wall outlet. Really, she just charges by sticking out the prongs and just backing up into the outlet.
Yep.
I mean, it reminds me of a Roomba.
Yeah. But that was before Roombas, which is crazy.
Exactly.
Flubber was
Exactly.
ahead of its time.
It was. It was. And then they have the basketball game, and then against the Rifles Rutland, and then it's all these nerds playing because Will Wheaton's character, who's a star basketball player, can't play because he failed chemistry. And so they're playing it. But we get a scene before that where he's in the gymnasium and he does the ball. You think he would learn his lesson that you don't coat down the ball.
Well, at least he did it in a bigger area with less glass,
and no one else around.
Yeah.
Then he puts it on his shoe and his foot just boop 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 boop.
See, this is what I have to say about Robin Williams is he's a great actor because he did all of that without seeing anything around him.
Yeah,
because it's all green screen and computer generated. Sorry.
Yes.
So you got to think of an actor actually moving his foot up and down like that constantly and interacting with things that aren't there.
Kind of like the scene in his garage when the Flubber first does, and it's flying around, and he's like moving, and catches it. Yeah.
And then he goes boom. Like how great of an actor can you be to improvise?
Exactly. And I mean, we get that his school wins, so they beat the rivals. The love of his life doesn't want anything to do with him because she's upset at him because of his work takes priority over her.
Can we talk about how horrible a person she is? I mean, I get it. He left her hanging 3 times on the altar. But dude, for her to go out and date a guy right in front of him and just be like, "Oh, forget about you. I'm dating this guy now." I wouldn't say they're really dating, but they're kind of just hanging out.
Yeah.
But right in front of her, I guess, potential husband, she's just hanging out with this guy now all of a sudden. Doesn't want anything to do with him. I just thought that was kind of...
So is this a prequel to Mrs. Doubtfire? Where they end up getting married and then they get a divorce later on, and he ends up having to become Mrs. Doubtfire in order to see the kids.
Who knows? Maybe he turns himself into Flubber or something. Who knows?
hey, maybe the Mrs. Doubtfire mask is made out of Flubber. We don't know.
But hey, you got to understand that Robin Williams, what was Bernard?
Yeah,
Bernard.
Yeah.
He loved his wife or potential wife, so much that he would be willing to jump out of a window backwards and
exactly
fall on his butt. Well, how many stories was that? 4? At least 4?
At least 4. To just show her what he was working on.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And so she doesn't believe him until the basketball game, where she kind of was like, wait, wasn't this what you were kind of showing me? You kind of get that hint in there that she kind of understands what he's saying.
Yep.
And then shortly thereafter, she comes over to his house.
Weibo.
Weibo.
Well, Weibo plays a good part in this because...
True. She reconciles them and saying...
Yeah. I mean, a computer is bringing 2 people together.
Hey!
This movie was made in 96, right?
97.
97? Probably filmed in 96. So.
Yes. So, 96, 97. It was dating online before dating online was a thing. Or relatively new at that
all aspect. Because of a robot.
Exactly. Kind of like Bicentennial Man. I mean, seriously.
Are we having links to a whole bunch of movies in this? We got Mrs. Doubtfire, Bicentennial Man. Yes. What else is coming next?
Well, but I don't have Amazon affiliate links, but I'll put the Amazon links down below for you guys to purchase all this stuff. So, but I mean, it has that Disney movie, especially with Weibo, all the little movie scenes that she's playing in there. I love everything in there. And if you look closely, you see one of the absent-minded professor shots from the movie and the movie Son of Flubber in there. So you have to pay attention and actually know those movies in order to see it. I believe one of them is when she's flying and it's a face of a woman screaming in a car.
That's when they're falling from the sky.
Yeah, when they're falling from the sky. It's the actual scene where the lady in absent-minded professor is screaming because of the car, because she's flying in the car, and it's a close-up of that, so you couldn't, because the actual scene where you see Fred McMurray too, so you can tell it's a close-up of that scene. It's like, that's smart right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like how they include all of that. I actually watched this movie just recently, and I watched it with my daughter. First time for her watching it, and she wasn't digging it at first until Flubber was a thing. Until he made Flubber and he started interacting with it. But yeah, she was laughing at all those scenes. Where they're showing it on the screen. Brings the children in. Brings all the kids in as well.
It does. They're that like little green guy, and they do that synchronized swimming routine in the.
She was loving. She was loving that.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great thing. You needed to somehow make this movie have a little character that everyone could relate to, whereas the first one was just looking like it was a hard rubber ball, pretty much.
Yeah, basically. And I mean, you gotta give a good shout out to Burger King, for doing all their promotions for this stuff. Because I mean, if it wasn't for Burger King, I don't think all these kids would have been interested in Flubber. To be honest,
exactly. It was one of those Disney movies that's like, what is this? And then you watch, you're like, oh, okay. It's like, even with Robin Williams, that was in the 90s. It's like, okay, it's Robin Williams, so it might be good.
Yeah. Do you think this movie would have worked without Robin Williams?
No, honestly not.
Yeah, and that honestly, I think that is the same way I feel. As I don't think there would have been any other character that could have filled the shoes of for this movie.
No, he plays that aloof, absent-minded type of person, as well as being this smart brainiac, all very well together.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, if you got like Jim Carrey, it would be much more comedic. He, like when he's doing this stuff with the Flubber, and Robin Williams had to act that out himself. You could tell Jim Carrey would have just been super over the top.
It would have been like The Mask. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it would have been like The Mask.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah, Jim Carrey probably. I mean, I don't know. Did they have any other people suggested for this movie other than Robin Williams? I don't even know. I didn't look into that.
Yeah, neither did I. I would assume they would have, but I mean, I think Robin Williams at this time wasn't this shortly after Hook or shortly before Hook? So he was on that whole family movie kick.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, he's doing these family movies. He was relatively hot, so let's just keep with him. Gotcha. And then shortly after that, that's when he gets into like Bicentennial Man. He gets more into the drama stuff. Yeah. More of the wild stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's put it that way. Yeah. But so she ends up coming back to seeing him, and the goons show up again. Then they threaten him, along with their boss, and then they come in and ransack everything, and Weebo dies.
Such a sad scene.
It is, and it's like you could just tell. It's like for most of the time, you could tell it was a CGI that they probably had just had the thing hovering in place at times to interact with Robin.
Yeah, well, they actually had it on a fish line.
Yeah,
it was hanging from a fish line, basically.
Kind of like how they did the old basketball players scenes in the other movie. They had them on like bungees and fish lines and having them jump, and move that way. So, I mean, you could tell even back then they had her there. They even used the laser, believe it or not, when in the scene where does the Flubber for the first time in his thing, when he's moving around like that, they actually shined a laser where they wanted him to move. So he's like, Flubber's shooting here. And so he could react better. So and that was actually his idea, I found out.
Really? And see, I didn't know that. See, we're learning something new.
Because he wanted to be able to react the right way. So he's like, why don't we just use a laser pointer? That way when it hits, I know where I'm reacting. Okay.
That's smart.
Yeah. And so in the course of events, as in any Disney movie or any movie like this,
Mufasa.
Yeah. So bad, yeah.
I don't know if we would put it at Mufasa level, but
no. No, but in any movie kind of like this, they end up him and his girlfriend or ex at that time end up together. He ends up helping for. I love the Ford scene. The scene where he's at Ford and he had an idea for a new car, and the guy just looks out the window and the car's flying right there. And
Yeah,
it's like,
you know, when I was watching that, I was like, "Is that Steve Martin?" But I
yeah,
was like, "No, no, that's
no,
not
no,
it."
no. That possibly could have been another choice too. There, I
Yeah,
don't honestly know. I think he might have done a good job too.
yeah.
In
I
that
looked out the window. I looked at the, and I was like, straight to IMDb. IMDb. I was like, "No, that's not
no,
him."
no, no, that's not him. Well, like
Look at him though.
besides Christopher McDonald and Marsha Gay Harden and Robin Williams, it's like you don't really know much more people in here besides one of the goons actually becomes Stottlemyre in Monk.
Yeah, I
So
mean, yeah, you're right. There isn't too many people in here other than the people that you named,
yeah,
that have really gone and done bigger things,
exactly.
um, or they've ended up retiring, because there's a couple older
Yeah,
people in that movie as well. So,
yes.
but yeah,
W-
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Was it a low budget movie? I don't think it was. I think because that some CGI in that is pretty good
Yeah.
for being in the 90s.
Let's see. Let's see. It was actually on a $80 million.
Okay, so yeah,
80 million. So it was, and it came out Thanksgiving weekend. So it was probably the family movie Thanksgiving weekend of '97. So,
okay. So I mean, yeah, I guess I can see that
but
80
box
million
office was 178. So it made its money back
made its
double.
money back.
It doubled its money back.
Okay.
So would it be a box office flop in that situation? Back then, no.
No, especially in
If
the 90s. No.
yes, you make your money back or at least double it, you're in good standings. Like
Hey, you got to think that
hundreds.
this isn't a summertime movie either. This is coming out.
No,
You said Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving,
So
Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah, so kind of when the movies start slowing down, you get very few,
yeah,
and not just that, but it's also at that point in time too that uh what was it? Other things were coming out. It was like I think uh 97 against stuff like this. I think it was, oh yeah, released right here. Let's see. Uh I mean, Flubber made 93 million in the United States and 85 million in other countries. So it made its own money back in the States.
yeah,
And not only that, it also made its budget back overseas as well. So that shows you how successful this movie was.
yeah. But you also got to think it probably has a lot to do with Robin Williams.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, and his longevity as a likable actor and or
Yeah,
person in that. Like there was always a few movies that I know he always spoke highly of. And that he had so much fun on. He said one was Mrs. Doubtfire.
hmm
I knew one. I think he said one was this one or Jumanji. I can't remember which one
I
exactly.
know he had fun on Jumanji for sure,
Yes,
and
yes,
Mr. Doubtfire.
yes.
I honestly I haven't done really much research on Flubber.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna open up with you right now.
yeah.
All
Go
right.
for it.
So Flubber is a childhood movie of mine. I watched
Yeah.
Flubber all the time when I was a kid.
Mhm.
Watched it on VHS all the time. Every time it was either that or like the Disney classics.
Yes.
And I would watch maybe Jumanji. Well, a lot of Robin Williams, honestly. Jumanji, Aladdin,
Yeah.
and Lion King, and we have Flubber. Um, the last time that I watched this movie was probably when I was a kid. And the reason why is because I wanted to hold that nostalgia
Yeah.
for this movie. And I was really worried to watch this movie because I didn't want to lose that nostalgia for this movie because
Yeah.
I think the IMDb on this is like 35 or something like that. And
Mhm.
I know a lot of people don't go by IMDb, but that's pretty low for a Robin Williams movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just didn't want to lose that nostalgia, because the CGI could have looked bad. I mean, I did watch this on DVD
Mhm.
because unfortunately there's no Blu-ray, and I'm honestly happy that I watched it because it's not that bad as other people are saying.
No.
I mean, yes, it is a goofy 90s movie from Disney, but in the 90s, that's all Disney was putting out. Look at Brink. I don't know if that was a 90s movie. I think that was more 2000s.
Yeah, yeah.
But you got to look at those movies that came out around that time. They're all the same. They're all the
Exactly.
same set designs. All it's like they use the same set over and over again. So it's just it's a
Cookie
90s
cutter.
Disney. Exactly. But that's how they save money. That's how they made money.
Uh-huh.
So
It's
that's
always
about it.
it's always here's the problem. Here's them winning the day. The most unlikely person winning the day. Here's all the situations that have to happen up to here. Like look at even the Disney sports movies from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, Big Green had that formula. Every movie from Disney at this point in time had that formula. That's why at this point the Disney Renaissance of the animated happened, but their live action stuff started going down the tubes, in my opinion, at least. And then you bring on Robin Williams, you're like, okay, hopefully this might help.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at releases that came out around the same time. You've got Jungle to Jungle, which came out around that time.
Yeah.
Halloween Town.
Okay.
The Parent Trap. My Favorite Martian. Mighty Joe Young. Mighty Joe Young was different because it was shot on location. But you have Smart House or George of the Jungle. So you got to look at George of the Jungle for example.
Yeah.
People love that movie.
They do.
It could be because of Brendan Fraser, but it's the same exact movie if you think about it. The shooting, everything, it's the same exact movie.
It is. It is. I completely agree with you. And like those names you just mentioned, it's like that was Disney peak on Disney Channel in the 90s. Halloween Town, My Favorite Martian, another remake right there. Yeah. So it's like Disney was doing in the 90s, it seems like Disney was doing remakes. And now it's come full circle again where they're doing live action of their animated stuff. So Disney just goes in a complete circle at half the time. So my question to you is this. You mentioned that there's no Blu-ray. This hasn't gone past DVD.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking from a pure nostalgic point. Do you think that this deserves to be forgotten?
To be forgotten?
Should this be forgotten as just one of those movies that is on DVD? Because people, if it's on Blu-ray or higher, it tends to get forgotten.
Well, here's the thing. I had a template, a flyer. I lost it. It's somewhere in one of my movies up here. I know it's in one of my Disney movies. But the flyer said coming soon to Blu-ray. And it had a picture of Flubber Blu-ray on there. It was a Disney promotion. And I think they cut that off because of the whole Robin Williams passing.
Yeah.
But I made my own Blu-ray right here.
Nice.
It is a DVD cover, and it is a DVD, but I don't really collect DVDs much.
Yeah.
So I have that right there. But it looks good on the shelf next to my other Disney movies. But for me to think that should it be forgotten? No. Because I'm not saying this because I'm a Robin Williams fan. I'm saying this because my daughter, who has never seen this movie before, loved it.
Yeah.
And I think generations, after us, because I grew up in the 90s, I think the generation after us should know about these movies, especially Robin Williams. I mean, Robin Williams was, I wish I met the guy. I had a chance to meet him, and I said I'll meet him next time, and I was never able to. So I just think maybe let's make it a Disney Movie Club exclusive.
Yeah.
At least do that. At least make it a Disney Movie Club exclusive Blu-ray. I'll be happy. I don't need a 4K. I don't need any of that. Just put it on Blu-ray.
Make it a 2-pack with the Absent-Minded Professor.
So I think, isn't that one already out on Blu-ray, or is it just Son of Flubber? I think it's Son of Flubber.
Son of Flubber's out, yeah.
So yeah, I can see a 2-pack coming
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
That'd be cool. I mean, I'd be happy with any kind of
yeah.
Blu-ray for for Flubber.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, I honestly I don't think it should be forgotten because
and
my kid loved it.
that's the thing. You think about it now, all these older movies from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s are coming out now, and sparking interest in that level of cinema from back then, in those years of cinema, in that history of that. Well, when you go look back at movies and talk about some of the greatest comedians of all time, Robin Williams is always going to be in that list, no matter how
Yeah,
far down you are, just because there's always a new generation, like you said with your daughter,
yeah,
watching his stuff and, oh, okay,
yeah.
it's actually pretty good.
My daughter didn't click with the voice because I said, "Hey, that is the genie from Aladdin," and she
Mhm.
goes, "Really?"
Yeah.
Really? And I was like, "Yeah, that's a genie." I used to watch this all the time when I was a kid. She goes, "Really?" And like I said, she wasn't really digging it for the
Mhm.
first act, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
But after that first act, she was hooked to that TV. And I don't know if that's the Robin Williams charm. I because it could be,
It is.
just him interacting with the camera. It's like he's talking to you. Um, but I don't know. I think it should come to Blu-ray. I don't even know if it's streaming. It could be on
It's
Disney
on
Plus.
it's on Disney Plus, yeah.
Okay. But I know for a while you weren't able to stream it either.
No,
So
you weren't. But I mean, it's one of those things that, yeah, it's probably held up with the Williams estate with his daughter or his family. It could be because of all that. It could be held up in the state of the writer of this. It's just there's so many different parameters that why this could be held up in that way, or
so
that the fact that Disney just doesn't like anything past that.
I found it. You see
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
It
I
says
see that.
coming soon.
With
Flubber.
isn't that what?
Babes at Toyland, which I don't
Yeah,
think came out on Blu-ray.
no,
We
Santa
have
Claus.
Pollyanna and Santa Claus trilogy. So whenever the
Yeah.
Santa Claus trilogy came out, is when Flubber was supposed to be coming out.
Huh.
It was it says here the 15th anniversary. So
So
that's around the time that Robin Williams
22, yeah. So
passed
22,
away.
yeah.
So
So
which is crazy. So it could have been
yeah,
around because of that. Who knows? But
who
yeah,
knows?
man, bring it out
But
on Blu-ray.
exactly. I recommend getting a green case for that movie.
That's a good idea.
Yes, a green case. I think a
I
green
have
case would
an
look
Incredible
actually.
Hulk one. I'm going to switch
Yeah,
it out. That's a great idea.
I
Holy
think a green
cow,
case would look awesome in there with that.
dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. But yeah, this is just a DVD cover, but it matches up perfectly. If you look at the spine right there.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're like white out right
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it to focus. But yeah, we have it right there. Bam.
Mhm.
It looks like a Blu-ray, except for that DVD logo right there.
It does. It does. And I mean, it's an all green thing. Well, like the promo was like neon green. The
Yeah,
poster was just him and Flubber on a neon green background. I'm like, if that doesn't draw you into anything,
yeah. Almost
even
makes
on
you
the
think like it's a Nickelodeon movie.
yeah yeah even on the shelf, I remember seeing it on the shelf in Blockbusters, and it
Yeah,
stood out compared to everything else that was either white backgrounds, black backgrounds, stuff like that. It just
yeah.
stood out. Even in the kids section, you can see it from a mile away. You're like, oh, there's Flubber.
And did you go pick it up? That's the question.
Oh, at that time, that's when I saw it. I didn't see it in theaters. I saw
Okay.
when it was releasing on VHS. So
Yeah, I don't think I saw it in theaters either.
my
But I
dad,
did see it on VHS.
my dad at the time was working at Blockbuster. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so I got the little perks of discounts here and there.
So you never
Always,
had to run to Blockbuster and hope that your movie was there? Oh man, you
I
had it easy.
well, I did have the time, but because there were only so many new releases on the
Yeah,
shelf, so it's like the employees were allowed to take them like the day they got into the store and watch them. That way, if anyone asked before they were on the shelf, they could tell them about the movie and everything and what they thought.
yeah,
But the day it was released, yeah, it was out there for the public. So it's like, okay. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, Ryan, for coming
Yeah,
and
man.
talking
Like
about this movie.
I held myself back a little bit because we're talking Robin Williams,
Yes.
man. You know, I could probably go on for
Yeah.
hours.
I
But
just I didn't want to go down a rabbit trail of
that's why
not
I
talking about this movie, but talking about Robin in general.
yeah, I bit my tongue a little bit. You know, because like as you guys know, man, I'm a huge Robin Williams fan. Um, and I mean, hey, this kind of I guess this can be kind of biased because you did put a Robin Williams fan up here.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, I'm gonna probably say yes to every Blu-ray that comes out. But the
Mhm.
reason why I said yes to it is because of my daughter.
Yeah.
If she wasn't feeling it and she walked away,
Mhm.
I would have been like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Leave
Yeah.
it on DVD. But she was hooked to the TV. So, got to think about the
Yes.
future.
You
And
did.
this movie has to be preserved.
It does.
Yeah, man, that's it.
All right.
That's all I can say about Robin Williams.
All
for now.
right.
For
All
now.
right. Yeah, for now. All right. And I just want to say this in closing, ladies and gentlemen, like I normally do all these times. Don't just sit here and collect the movies, watch them, talk about 'em. That's how preservation of movies happens.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be here one moment, next moment it's gone forever.
definitely.
This is what we talk about. You just don't sit there and watch them, talk about them, engage in a conversation about them. We're supposedly collectors, but do they just sit back here or do we actually watch them and talk
I
about
can
them?
say that for a couple of my movies. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
get rid of them. But
yeah. Same here.
most of my collection is
Yeah,
being watched.
yeah, yeah. Same here. Most of the stuff I've seen back here at least 3 or 4 times. I try and keep it to where I can watch almost every one of my movies once a day for 3 years if I needed to. Like I purposely keep it at that ballpark number. That way, I'm constantly cycling through and be like, okay. And then after the 3 year mark, you're like, okay, do I still like this movie like I did last time I saw it? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And you
so
cycle it through.
Is Flubber in that rotation, and is it staying on your?
Yes. Yes, it is. It's staying on my shelf.
All right, that's
It's
good.
it's on that rotation.
It's gonna
I
be
have
on eBay soon. Watch, guys. Watch.
my Macari page. Yeah.
$3
Eh,
at Walmart
exclusive Robin Williams movie. Unaired, never before seen Blu-ray of Flubber.
in a green case.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll probably do a clear Criterion case for it. Do it that way.
Hey, Criterion. I know you guys just picked up Disney. Give us
Yes.
that Robin Williams. They just put out Fisher King on 4K. Let's get that
Yes.
Robin Williams Flubber on Blu-ray or 4K.
Yes.
I know it'll sell like hotcakes.
Or even Kino. They have Son of the Blob. There you go. You have Son of the Blob with Kino, so there you go
Hey,
with
Kino
that.
put out Kazam. I'm sure they could put out
Yes.
Flubber.
Yes, I know. I know they put out Kazam. They can put out Flubber. So yeah. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be kind and rewind.